By the mid 1970s, punk music or Sex Pistols, whatever you want to call it, it was sort of falling out of favor because a lot of people saw through it because basically, if they're really punk band, why are they playing the music so well? Sex Pistols were good performers. By the time you got to the Clash in 77 to 79, it was more like protest rock. But what WKRP in Cincinnati, the writers did, they brought in a band called Scum of the Earth. Now, Michael DeBars, who is a well-known rock star, was in the band Detective, Power Stage for a while, appeared on Miami Vice, led the British Hoodlum rock band. And that's the name of the episode of WKRP, Hoodlum Rock. Now, Scum of the Earth is a long-time term. It was referred to in the Bible. There was various B-movies done with that term through the years. But on WKRP in Cincinnati 78, episode Hoodlum Rock, the band was portrayed by actors Michael DeBars, Peter Elbling, and Jim Henderson. The episode revolves around WKRP's attempt to promote a rock concert by Scum of the Earth. Now, these were booked to draw more interest at the station. Rock stations back then, you said, see Nazareth in concert tonight, or see Triumph in concert night. Call, be the 7th caller, get a pair of tickets. But this goes bad because Venus Flytrap interviews them and they're totally sarcastic like British fops, but they're dressed immaculately in like suits you would see kind of in a, I don't know, like a post-nouveau new romantic movement. Now, again, Scum of the Earth, or S-O-T, SOT, is a satirical portrayal of a punk band known for uncouth behavior and appearance. Now, the Hoodlum Rock episode sees WKRP's program director, Andy Travis, trying to attract listeners by promoting a concert featuring the band. Now, while the band was fictional, Detective DeBar's band provided the music for Scum of the Earth's performances when I think it's Johnny Fever and Venus Flytrap forced them to go on stage by basically fighting them. And they make a very good performance. I do remember one of the band members was, fire extinguishing the crowd. Again, the band's name was also later used by a real band called Scum of the Earth, which had affiliates with Rob Zombie, who were influenced by the WKRP episode. Now, according to IMDb, and there's some partial trivia, again, there really is a rock group called Scum of the Earth. Again, he took the name from the episode. Detective did performances, and you can see them on YouTube. Now, after the episode boosted the ratings of the program, some members of the press came to meet some of its production crew, and a few of them held out a banner that read "Welcome Scum" from the top floor. Producer-director Rod Daniel recalled, "We thought it was funny. He did not have a sense of humor." Guest star Michael DeBars would join the cast years later as disc jockey Jack Allen when the show returned first-run syndication as a new WKRP in Cincinnati in 1991. Now, actually, Peter Elbling had previously appeared in Phantom of the Paradise in 1974 as the lead singer of the Undeads. He's also a former member of the Committee, the same comedy troupe that included Howard Hessman. Now, ironically, of all people, Johnny Fever is left to babysit the band. And just like Keith Moon, or someone would babysit, and he said he kind of half challenged him, saying whatever doing where it was boring. They threw, I think, the manager out of the car initially, and he threw a guy not out of a window. And Dog, Michael DeBar's character, he said it reacts to the fact when Johnny says, "I find you guys boring." In a lot of ways, that was the terminology for DJs. They're into rock and roll. They would see these type of bands as boring. Now, the Scum of the Earth again. I don't think if Detective, the singles from the song, is out there still on vinyl, but I hope you can find it. Michael DeBars was a good singer. Now, again, they play their music, including "Got Enough Love for the Two of Us." Again, was by Michael DeBar's real band Detective. So, just to cover Scum, I'm going to give you some details on what he called the face of Scum of the Earth. Now, Detective was an American English rock band that toured and recorded in the late 70s, consisting of vocalist Michael DeBars, guitarist Michael Monarch, bassist Bobby Pickett, not the 60s singer of the same name, ex-Yes keyboardist Tony Kaye, and drummer John Hyde. The band released 2 albums, Detective, produced by the band, Andy Johns and Jimmy Robinson, and It Takes One to Know One in 1977, as well as live from the Atlantic Studios, a promo album, recorded in 78 for radio broadcast in 78. Actually, they were on Swan Song Records and Atlantic Org Music. Now, years active from 75 to 79, hard rock, funk, and soul. They were good. Recall Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin, whose Swan Song label Detective debuted. That first album of theirs was really good. It should have been more popular, shouldn't it? In support of their second album, It Takes One to Know One, Detective toured as a support act for Kiss. One cover song that ended up on Detective's debut album was previously tried by Kiss for the 76 Destroyer album, Ain't None of Your Business, with Peter Criss on lead vocals. Demos exist of the Kiss version and were finally released in 2021 on the Super Deluxe version of Destroyer. Now, when Detective went into the studio in 78 with producer Tom Dowd to record their third album, while their first two albums were not on Led Zeppelin's Swan Song label, were on Led Zeppelin's record label, Atlantic Records took over the band for the third release. Atlantic wanted a hit single from the band. Dowd brought in a song from a then unknown singer-songwriter named John Cougar, I Need a Lover. According to Monarch, they did not want to record it, but agreed. It remains unreleased to this day, along with a couple of original songs. Monarch later said that the members of Detective were moving in different directions, and the group decided to disband. Now, when Michael DeBars performed songs in the fourth episode of the first season of the sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati, it was part of the fictional Hoodlum rock group Scum of the Earth. DeBars, who played Sir Charles Weatherby, a.k.a. Dog, and the two other actors, Peter Elbling as Blood and Jim Henderson as Nigel, played the part of a band during most of the TV show. The Detective performed their song "Got Enough Love" at the end of the show segment. Now, "Got Enough Love" was on the Detective first album. It hit number 135 in the U.S. and ironically, he co-wrote it with his groupie to the stars, his wife Pamela DeBars, and of course Michael Monarch. It was the number one song on the album. Now again, Michael DeBars on lead vocals of that album. Number two, It Takes One to Know One. I think the best song on this was Help Me Up, written by John Hyde drums. Now live from the Atlantic Studios, Got Enough Love was on there, and like I said, DeBars, Bonnet, Kay, Pickett, and Hyde. So ladies and gentlemen, a very, very interesting way to go from a Led Zeppelin leaders to, again, Detective to Scum of the Earth. But Got Enough Love, it was, like I said, a very, very cool song and a very cool logo of the band, too. Like a D, kind of like a Daredevil D with like an uptick. So ladies and gentlemen, Scum of the Earth, if you like Hoodlum Rock, it is probably the 10th best episode of WKRP because of at the time, the Who and the Keith Moon era was still prevalent. And one thing about WKRP was very topical. But I didn't know Michael DeBars was that good of a singer. So it was a knockoff of if Jimmy Page and Gene Stanley would have a child. A nice looking person. But you can find the Pamela DeBars book about when she was a groupie. I think she was one of the plaster casters. I think not she was one of the sisters, but she do a plaster of, certain people's, parts. So again, Michael DeBars, Scum of the Earth, and that's for a dog. Thanks for listening, and make sure to listen to WKRP when you can, because you'll learn a lot how to pronounce and mispronounce names. And if I get criticized for that, fuck off. I don't really care what you think, because I'm the Scum of the Earth. Have a good one. Bye.